Welcome to another episode of League to the Max, or whatever. I am your host, Brian Andisia Despinoza, and joined with me, as always, is my usual partner in crime, Mr. Eric Squid Sportshead Watkins. I'd ask you how we're doing, but we've been having to deal with technical difficulties for shows this evening for the past hour, so I think I know how you're doing.
Oh, yeah. It's not like I'm running around trying to make some money and act like a chicken with its head cut off the last hour or so. No. Hasn't been like that whatsoever.
I haven't resorted to drinking on air, and yes, I'll actually plug something for once in my life. Yes, it took me a week, but I found it. For those of you who have been following along on Point of Viewer, another fine episode podcast here on the W2 Web Network. Speaking of the wonderful W2 Web Network, Mr. Eric, why don't you do the people a favor and tell them where we are?
Well. For this particular episode, if you happen to be watching us live visually or would like to, you are or would be doing so on Facebook, facebook.com/W2M Network, or Twitter, twitter.com/W2M Network. We are live on Twitch, however. Our program has been preempted by alternate programming. So if you're on Twitch, head over there if you would love to see Daniel.
Is that what we're calling it these days when Radulich steals a time slot? Oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to steal his time slot. That's right. Today's not Monday. Please continue.
So, yes, at twitch.tv/W2Mnet. And on there, you will be witnessing a wonderful Radulich episode of Damn You Hollywood. If you prefer those on delay, as I sense some deliciousness.
Well, that's dangerous.
You do realize you're going to have to get me the locations of where I can get some for myself, right?
Publix.
Gotcha. All right.
It's the only place I've been able to find it so far.
This will be a bigger search than the Flamin' Hot Cool Ranch Doritos, which I nearly got some of today, but they were out of stock. But as I will finish.
Mine had it in the actual store. Mine doesn't have a liquor store attached. Mine had it in the beer aisle where the rest of the seltzers are.
You mean also like the wonderful, delicious Chihuahuas? Very good to know. Now, while I get that look of total indignance, you will be able to see us on delay when we upload this on YouTube at youtube.com/W2M Network. If you so happen to, instead of drinking hard seltzer, take our podcast orally, absolutely fine. If you pretty much name any podcast streaming service, most likely we're on it. Search for W2M Network.
Stitcher, Spreaker, Castbox, Podbean, Google Pods, Apple Pods, iHeartRadio. I'm pretty sure I'm still missing one after being on the air for close to 6 months now.
That's why we made it shorter for everybody. Stitcher, Spreaker, Podbean, Castbox, Overcast. Rate and review us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Pods, Google Pods. Again, if you name it, most likely we're on it.
One of these days I need you to just type all of those down in a list, and I'm just going to record a voiceover of it, and then whenever we need to do the plugs, we just hit the button, it does the plug, and we don't have to remember 978 different podcast services.
Well,
as wonderful as they all may be.
Well, I mean, if we do that in a video form, we can add that to the clips as we have it on StreamYard. Or if anybody wants to circumnavigate all of that to begin with, feel free to hop on over and join us on our Discord. Link in the description.
So we got a show today.
Do we ever?
We're going to be talking about Bob Barker's era of The Price is Right.
Wait. No. That's for Life is Like a Game Show.
Oh, yeah, right.
Which will be
Sorry.
on after this
That's-
over most of your W2M network stations.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, we do still have a hell of a show today.
Move all over bed, erase the beds, please.
He thinks I don't have objects to throw at him. He thinks because the title is Disembodied Voice that he's actually disembodied, but no, he's sitting there on the couch and in prime positioning to receive bottles in his general direction.
You know, I really have to stop putting endings on certain sentences in my head that you said tonight. Yeah.
And that's what I have to say about that. Because that's the bottom line.
No.
That's 4 runs, buddy. That's 4 runs. I caught that.
Well, actually, if you caught it, then that would have been a wicket. That wouldn't be 4 runs.
No, yeah, I took his wicket. That's right. I'm still getting the hang of this, okay?
But hey, you are learning quite well. One of these days, we're going to have a good alternate commentary of us in a match.
Hell, I could have given you a good alternate commentary for that Farmers PIC match last night.
Oh, God.
The hell was that goddamn fielding?
Well, I mean, that was arguably the second craziest one. Again, Pac, I care. I don't know what it is about them in this group. First Malo, now this. But anyway, that's
again, like just a absolutely atrocious fielding, but they get to the at bat and just knock it out of the park, literally several times in a row.
Well, I mean, when you have a guy like Babar, who would, had he needed it, would have been able to get 100. But again, more on that on Cricket to the Max. This is a different show.
Cricket to the Max, a new W2M network show coming soon?
Maybe. I mean, if you and another disembodied voice on Point of Viewer would get your act together, I could find time to squeeze it in.
Hey, don't lump me in with that degeneracy, okay? I got my shit together.
Well, different disembodied voice, but you know what I mean.
My statement still stands. I knew exactly who the hell you were talking about.
Well, I mean, he's trying, but
yeah, I mean, I can't fault him for trying. But anyways, as I switch gears out of game show mode for the next 45 minutes, God, we only got 45 minutes to do this show. Oh boy, it's gonna be a short one today, folks. Unfortunately, we got a lot to talk about. So let's move right along, shall we? Speaking of alcohol, I'm just going to use that to segue into the first topic of the evening. Why the hell not? The Bud Light League Lounge. I have to admit, I have not watched the Bud Light League Lounge before until this past weekend. And I would like to know whose idea was it to get 2 casters and 2 professionals and take turns asking them questions while playing beer pong without the beer on an overly complicated electronic-y flashy bells and whistles beer pong table with semi-weird beer pong rules. Because that seemed to be the entire show. Except for something at the end where they grabbed some Bud Light seltzer and did toasts to people and things.
I mean, my thing is, and you made up a good point, and I echo that sentiment. If you're going to age gate the channel on Twitch, why not have a whole bunch of actual beer and not just the seltzers?
Yeah, like that's what bugs me, right? Is if I have to put my birthday in and you're age gating the channel, which is not something that Twitch does, by the way. Like flat out. I think the only other time I saw them age gate a channel was Prime Football because of the alcohol sponsors.
Right.
And even then, I'm pretty sure it was the post game show that they age gated. They didn't even age gate the game itself. So yeah, no, if you're gonna go to all of that length to age gate the channel, and you know the channel's age gated, at that point, your Riot is already associating itself with an adult thing, right? Like the teen marketing demographic, whatever you want to call it, is out the window, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not market to actual adults and have some fucking drinking?
You're not
Now,
wrong.
I'm not saying that they need to go to fucking spring break levels of partying, right?
I mean, I wouldn't entirely object, but then that's just my own opinion.
I'm not objecting to it either, but I'm saying like they don't have to go to spring break levels of partying where they're shoving a funnel down some guy's throat so that he can chug an entire 12-pack of beers. But what I am saying is that if they're going to, if the channel's going to be age gated, they know that the channel has, it's a mature audience by default, right? Why
Mhm.
not let them drink freely?
Yeah, as long as they're still professionals and wouldn't go overboard.
Yeah, like, they can have a healthy buzz or whatever, but as long as it's not like, drunkenness to the point of indecency, then I think it's fine. But yeah, no, I watched that and I couldn't. I'm sitting here like, what in the absolute fuck am I watching? And that's all that I have to say about that, because that's the way I see it. Give me my funky Judge Steve Harvey theme music, please. Thank you.
Okay, due to technical difficulties, that's not ready yet. You some bitch.
I wasn't actually expecting it, I'll be honest with you, but but yeah. Other things to talk about. Let's talk about a little bit more about the LCS. I mean, we started off with the Bud Light League Lounge. TSM. I'm actually shocked. TSM has avoided the 10-loss mark of doom.
Yay!
The casters, that was pretty much the only thing they were talking about in the pregame for the Golden Guardians TSM match on Sunday. Which I have to admit actually was not a bad game at all. I think that probably would be the game of the week for me. TSM has dug out of, I don't want to say worser situations. This is definitely by far the worst situation they've been in. They have dug out of similarly shitty situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is at least a sign of life for the team.
It is.
It's like you got a body and you've got a extremely weak pulse, right? Like
Few
we need
beats
to
a minute.
we need to get the paddles out, crank them up to like 1200 and shock them a couple of more times and get that heart pumping. We're not out of the woods quite yet.
Yeah, only the Lions can have a perfect season. You also forget the Browns.
You know what? Speaking of perfect seasons, we got a short time today. We're gonna segue into our next topic. Speaking of perfect seasons, excuse me one moment, please.
You missed.
That would have been a boundary.
Well, I mean, I'll still give you credit for 2 because you got there.
T1, switching gears over to the LCK for a few moments here. T1 is on a unprecedented perfect season streak right now. The last time they pulled this off was 2015. They are just flat out unstoppable right now.
I saw some of them over this weekend. Game 2 of their match. Oh, who were they up against?
Here's a fun fact for you, right? Of the 117 professional League of Legends teams from world's eligible qualifying regions, T1 are one of just 3 to still hold a perfect record.
Who the hell are the other 2?
Team Spirit and One Breath Gaming of the LCL, whose season has been placed on hold due to the ongoing Ukrainian crisis.
Slava
the others.
Ukraini. Slava Ukraini. Yes, I am going to say that.
But yes, with a spotless 14-0 record, Team 1 are on pace to go the unprecedented length of the split. Nobody ever in the history of the LCK has pulled the perfect season of 18-0. T1 is the only one that came close, which was 17-1 in 2015.
I mean, hell, at that point, would you do like they did with college basketball in the Philippines in the 90s and just say they're automatic champions if they do it?
Look, at the rate that they're currently playing, fuck it, just let them have the cup. But no, Korean playoffs are a little bit complicated.
If they do a step ladder, I swear to fuck, I will fly and smack somebody. I hate step ladders.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, didn't we?
Many, many moons ago.
Like, I'm going to pull it back up here. I want to pull their playoff format. Yeah, top 6 qualify for the playoffs. The top 2 get a bye to the semifinals.
Okay, so a more straight knockout then.
Yeah. But yeah, at the rate the T1's going, just, give them a bye straight to the finals. Yeah, no, they are just like absolutely unstoppable right now. It is just insane how well that they are doing. And I just lost where I was at. Let me go to there because that's the page I actually wanted. Yeah, so total games, right? Because the LCK plays best of 3, as we know.
Yep.
Their overall record right now, as far as series, is 14-0. As far as games, is 28-5.
Jesus.
85% win rate.
So the fact that they've only even faced a game 3 5 times and they've won them all. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's just nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. They're yeah. You know who's behind them? Gen G. Our semifinalists from last year. From
And
Worlds last year.
But I'm telling you,
they're at 11-3 over series overall, like that's their standing. With a 22-10 game split.
And I was able to see T1 versus Gen G game 2 of their matchup thanks to you and tuning me into LCK.
I mean, if you're awake that late at night, that's just the go-to professional league to watch.
And I'm telling you.
Yes, there's a couple of other folks that run around the same time, like the LPL. I think the LCL runs almost around that same time as well. But yeah, no. If you're in the US and you're awake overnights, you watch the LCK. You're never not guaranteed to get some entertaining, even if they may be full of lull states, as they've become known to be called. You're still going to get entertaining gameplay out of the LCK.
Oh yeah, either the LCK or some good European T10 cricket. Either way, you're going to have a good time. I watched game 2 of the T1 Gen G match, and you predicted as you were heading off to sleep it was going to be a 2-0, and of course it eventually was. I have to give Gen G credit, but the way that they just finished that game, it's like, I don't know how many teams are really going to be even prepared to stop them. They were just on another level, even when things looked like they were going to go to shit.
Yeah, no, this team is unmatched right now. Like, both domestically and globally, this team is unmatched right now. Like, it might be a little bit too early to say this is T1's year to finally start the, Dynasty Part 2, but if we had Worlds today, T1's looking pretty goddamn stacked. Like, there's a lifeblood out of Faker that I don't think we've seen in a long time. Keria Gumayusi are really, like, settling into their role. They've really gotten the experience, and they're learning from every game that they play. I think the pickup of Zeus was pretty good. I mean, obviously he's proving his worth. I mean, overall, the coaching changes aside, they did have a little bit of issue with the roster at the beginning of in the preseason, but T1 I don't think legitimately can be stopped right now. If they're putting up the kind of numbers that they are putting up domestically, when you look at the fact that 3 out of the 4 teams in the final or in the semifinals and finals of Worlds last year are the top 3 teams in the LCK right now, and T1 is cleaning their clock by miles.
It's very, very favorable, to say the least. It's a safe bet.
MSI is going to be very interesting.
I mean, could MSI be like a good portent for what happens at Worlds?
Oh yeah,
if current
absolutely.
form stands up, because
Absolutely. Yeah, all the time. You'll see it a lot, especially earlier on in Worlds, where they look back and say, well, this is how they performed at MSI. Because really, unfortunately, we only get 2 major international tournaments a year, which is MSI and Worlds.
right.
So, yeah, absolutely. I think T1 are going to be looking to go into MSI in a little over a month and a half here. And go, hey, look, last year we got knocked out. That was a fluke, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're coming back with a vengeance. Because I guarantee you, they are not happy to have gotten knocked out where they ended up last year, right?
No, you're not wrong whatsoever in that. Not at all.
They went out third, fourth last year in semifinals against Damwon, and they're wiping the clock with Damwon this season. Like, yeah, no, I'm right now. Let me go back and because I wanted to see where Damwon was in the standings. Yeah, Damwon's third in the standings at 9-5.
Damn.
They're actually tied. Dragon X, DRX. They're tied with DRX for third right now at 9-5. But because LCK plays best of 3s, overall games, like individual games, one can be used as a tiebreaker. Damwon has the better record, 22-11. So they'll take it. They'll take the tiebreaker. But yeah, no, it's it's not looking good.
Right now, it's just one
Again,
team and
again,
everybody else.
if you seeded worlds based on the projections of, or if you seeded worlds very similarly to how they would be normally seeded, right? Which typically tends to be the top 2 to 4 teams out of a region go to worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't really matter like how they seed in. Generally speaking, in a region, even if they have like a play in or a wild card or whatever, it's typically the top 3 to 4 teams, and for the minor leagues, the top 2 teams that go to Worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you seeded Worlds right now, T1 eliminates all competition in every region.
Pretty
I don't
much.
think that there is a single region right now, right, where there is a team that can legitimately contest the just absolute dominance of T1. I really don't see it. Looking over at the LEC, right? We haven't talked about the LEC too much so far this season. Rogue at 14-4, Fnatic 13-5, Misfits 12-6, G2 11-7. Rogue kind of showing a little bit of dominance. Fnatic kind of has regrouped after the drama of Worlds in the off season. They've rebuilt a little bit. They've rebuilt their roster a little bit. Taking a look at the LCS right now, you've got at the top of the standings, Cloud9 at 9-2. Team Liquid's tied with them. Then in third place, you got FlyQuest at 7-4 and 100 Thieves at 6-5. Let's take a look at the LCL, China, right? Or sorry, that's not China. That's the LJ. That's the where the hell did it go? All right, screw it. I'm just going to go down the list. Brazil, their top 2 teams are Red Candids 10-3, Furia Esports 10-4. But this is that's a region that a lot of people call wild card, right? Not really much of a threat there. LCL, they're suspended right now because of all the stuff that's going on globally. But again, One Breath Gaming and Team Spirit sitting at 4-0.
As if you
But
didn't
this
have
is also again, that's also a wild card region.
Right, I'm about to say you've got that going on, and as if you didn't have enough going on with Gen G and their own issues.
And the LJL Japanese league, DFM Detonation Focus Me, dominating actually the standings so far. 10-1. Next team behind them, it's a 4-way tie at 7-4. Going to the LLA. Riot Game or Latin America. Again, a slightly more wild card region. I'm sorry, Brazil fans. And Latin America fans. Again, Rainbow 7, 11-1. And next behind them, Infinity at 9-3. The PCS, which is Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and Southeast Asia. You got PSG Talent at 11-1, Deep Cross Gaming at 10-2. And then the LPL, which is China, which is the current region for our 2021 World Champions. You've got Victory 5 at 11-2, Weibo Gaming at 10-2, Royal Never Give Up at 9-3. Our defending world champions are all the way down in 6th place domestically at 8-5.
Good God.
Yeah. And it's actually a 3-way tie for 8-5, but they're losing that tiebreaker and they're in 6th because of head-to-head games, because they're, again, another region that plays best of threes. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the standings and there's a couple of teams that are dominating their regions, but they don't dominate on the global stage and would just get picked apart at internationally, which we've seen before. So, yeah, no, I 100%, if T1 can continue the performance and the success that they're currently displaying right now, 100%, I could see them taking the Summoners Cup come September, October. 100%.
Well, we'll definitely see. Because it's a matter of how you handle the rest of the split and taking it from there. But the rest of the world better be on watch.
There's still all of summer to go as
True.
well, right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
some teams consider spring, to use an analogy from pretty much most other sports, as garbage time.
Mm-hmm.
And don't play 100% at their best. Like, they'll play just enough to, like, if I use a football American football analogy, right? The defense will play just well enough to stop the chains from moving and not allow big yardage, right?
Gotcha.
Or if you're on offense, you're running like short bullet passes just to get, just to keep the chains moving. You're not looking for that, 30, 40 yard pass down range to get a touchdown. Some teams operate like that in spring. Do I think that they should? No, I think it's not. I think it goes against competitive integrity, to be honest with you. But there are some teams that have had that mentality, and I think still do have that mentality now. There's nothing really on the line during spring split. It's just MSI. You don't really get much for winning MSI. So, fuck it.
Yeah, it's more of a bragging rights thing.
And that's something that Riot has to work on, is making, one, we need more international events. Two, and with with the advent of COVID and everything, we have learned very well that you don't need to bring everybody to the same place to play an international event.
Nope.
But yeah, no, they need to worry about, I think we need at least one more international event a year that isn't the All-Star game, because somebody's gonna fucking tweet me and say, but Andesian, we have the All-Star game in December. The All-Star game can sit on a cactus and rotate for all I care. That is not considered international. You can put up my little final thought graphic for that rant.
Well, I mean, I got to go ahead and change the different banners for that. But
I mean, I was going to say it's too late now, but yeah, that's how I feel about that. Moving on to our next topic, though, because again, we're rapid firing here. We don't have too much time left this evening. We'll talk about this more next week. I'm not done with this topic by any means necessary. We're kind of going to have a light show next week, I think, as well. Because Riot's taking a day off. I mean, going on spring break. I mean, taking a day off. Riot is doing this thing where they have a full week worth of work stoppage. I'm trying to look it up right now.
I'm about to say, don't start
'cause they
talking about work stoppage and in spring when you got everything going on with baseball right now.
I mean, more to come about that on the Broadhurst Watkins Sports Review.
Sports report. Close, but good.
I was close. I wanted to say report, and it didn't sound right in my head, which is why I went with review.
Yep, the BWSR Sports in Black and White, Thursdays on the W2M network.
I'm trying to find this freaking... I would like to find Riot's news page. Here we go. I'm like, I know there. Okay, here it is. I knew I'd find it somewhat quickly. Let me copy paste this so you can put it in the thing here. We can get it up on screen. But yeah, they don't say specifically when. I know it hasn't happened yet because there were quite a few teams still working. I know TFT's balance teams and product teams were still in the office. Leagues teams, I come to find out, were still in the office. Both of them have issued B patches already, which is basically a supplemental patch between the actual patch cycles. Basically, think emergency patch. That's usually the only time we get B patches. Because the normal patch cycle is going to be whatchamacallit, is going to be interrupted due to Riot having their 1 week work stoppage. And by 1 week work stoppage, I'm not talking about they're all going to go, get plastered off of their ass and, spring break or whatever. They pretty much take like a week and just do a whole bunch of in-service meetings and things like that. And they don't work on their actual properties or anything. It's kind of a change of pace of work, but yeah. The cute, adorable little poros, as you see there, going AFK. TFT released a pretty major B patch. Riot, the league team, has also released a major B patch that is looking to change the ADC meta ridiculously. A lot of nerfs going out to some major ADC pains in the ass currently. If I remember correctly, Jinx is getting a nerf, Zeri is getting a nerf, Aphelios is getting a nerf. All of the usual suspects right now in professional play are getting hit with the nerf hammer. But another big thing is there's some serious rumoring going on right now that Riot is looking to remove duo queue from ranked, which is huge, right? The immediate implications of this is, according to Riot, is it will bolster the health of ranked queues because the amount of mismatching of mismatched MMR team balancing will go down dramatically, because it just no longer happens, right? The follow-on for this is going to be huge because at this point, if you no longer have a duo queue, you can no longer elo boost somebody, right? And if boosting goes out the window, then all of the companies that provide, under the table boosting services, because none of them are technically legal by Riot's terms of service, All of that goes out the window. You can't boost your, the e-girl boosting phenomenon thing, whatever you want to call that. That also is going out the window. There's a lot to talk about and unpack with the thought of removing duo queue. I think we'll definitely have to come back to this topic some more next week.
Of course.
Just given the amount of time, unfortunately, that we have left in our episode. As I check here to make sure that my food is still on the way. Yes. Excellent. So yeah, expect that to be a thing of next week's topic. There's also an interesting tweet came out. Actually, a couple of interesting tweets that came out. One, our thoughts are with Gen G. Speaking of the LCK earlier, Ruler got a positive COVID result this past week. Chovy also got a positive result for COVID. So Chovy Life Esports, which is no longer Chovy Life Esports, but General Chovy, is currently down for the count. Gen G is going to be fielding Ophelia and Quid from their academy roster for the foreseeable future. Or at least until the two of them recover. But our thoughts definitely with them, hoping that they can recover from COVID quickly and without any long-term side effects or anything like that. And then another thing that we'll be talking about next week that we have talked about previously on the show to some extent, at least. We got a tweet from Dodo, which is Team Liquid's kind of general manager, basically. Just like how you think of a normal general manager in sports. He says, and I'll get the tweet up here so we can do our single tweet check the tweet segment, even though we technically just did two, but whatever.
1.5. Let's split the difference.
Yeah. Twitter tweeting. Check the tweets and the emails. Look, it's an abbreviated jingle. We're on an abbreviated show. Abbreviated things. Okay?
Look, I don't do abbreviated things. Okay, I take that back because this one time I was in a pinch because I got
good job. You got the wrong Twitter handle up on screen, you dumbass.
Yeah. You know what? It's been a long couple of hours, okay?
It's been a long couple hours for you and me both, buddy.
You happy now?
Yes, because I can't even see it. So yes. Anyways, so we're gonna talk about this some more next week as well. But very briefly, we're gonna spend our last couple minutes on this subject here. There was a very high chance that if Core didn't receive his green card, we would have lost him, not only from TL, but LCS and League as a whole. Mostly because he is Korean and military, mandatory military conscription is a thing. Wow, I'm one to talk. Hey, at least it's my screen that isn't being shared. I did the same thing. I realized it. I looked down. Wait a minute. That's not the right account. But yeah, no. apparently, basically what I'm inferring from this, it may not be 100% true, but I'm pretty sure this is what the case was, right? Is um because he was a resident citizen of Korea, he would have been required to do military service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, which means whenever his athlete visa, which I'm assuming he's over here in the US on an athlete visa because the US Department of State does recognize esports as an actual sport and will issue athlete visas for esports. Somewhat recent, but that is a thing. But yeah, the next time his visa expired and he was required to go back to Korea, he would have automatically been drafted into the military by local authorities. Um, generally speaking, right? It is extremely difficult to get a green card or like actual citizenship paperwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just on the basis of being an esports player. Like the getting a residency green, like getting a permanent residency green card is. I have heard cases where kids who are foreign born, but their parents are like U.S. citizens, or the other way around. Yeah, the other way around. Sorry. The kids are US born, but which makes them US citizens, but the parents are foreign citizens or whatever and had to leave the US. They can't even get green cards, right? Like we're talking like immediate extended family and they've had issues getting green cards. The fact that they were able to find an immigration lawyer who got them the miracle that they needed to get the to get the case is definitely like it's amazing, right? um Especially like even if he went over to Korea for like if he had gone back to home to Korea for an international event, they would have grabbed him, right? But now he is officially on the path towards naturalization and then subsequently citizenship. Um, but yeah, no, that would have just been a shame, right? And I think what we'll probably end up be talking about more is on the side of the military conscription and all of that. We may hold off on that topic given the current state of global affairs
I'm
for a
I'm
while,
I
but
mean, all things considered, we can isolate that enough, especially since we talked about specific Korean conscription laws in a previous episode.
I mean we have. But yeah, no, I'm very happy to hear that Core got his green card. He's going to be able to play for Team Liquid. Um, Obviously he's been in the US long enough. I don't want to say he's acclimated, but I'm sure he's equally as happy here as he would be back home.
Mm-hmm.
Um And yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's LCS games. I'm interested to see if TSM can continue the run it back, reverse sweep, whatever you want to call it, to see if they can somehow clinch a sixth place playoff seed. Because yeah, no, this again, they're still not in the best position. To be making the playoffs for the first time in their organization's history. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. That's definitely a team. While I'm not rooting for them, I'm definitely keeping an eye out, particularly on how they're doing. So yeah, join us next week here on League to the Max or whatever. We apologize for the short show. We wanted to cover more topics, but Life is Like a Game show, which the two of us are also a part of, happening next over most of your W2M networks, is set to start in exactly 60 seconds. So will it be starting in exactly 60 seconds? No, it'll be starting damn close though. So we sadly can't overrun too much on League to the Max this week. And there definitely is no whatever outside of the fact that for those of you who also listen to Point of View, where I finally found the goddamn Mountain Dew hard cider.
Be prepared and have
seltzer.
be prepared to have a couple of those handy, especially for Point of Viewer starting next week.
Oh, it was a variety pack. I got a 12-pack of all 4 flavors. So this is the first one. I'm good.
Like I said,
I'm setting the rest of them in the fridge for Sunday.
Yep.
I'm still not used to that yet, as you can tell.
Yeah, give it time. We'll get there. But anyways.
Are you doing the end? Yeah, you do the outro. Why not?
You can find me at Squid Sports Head. You can find him at The Indesian. You can find the network visually, facebook.com/W2M Network, twitch.tv/W2M Net, twitter.com/W2M Network, youtube.com/W2M Network. As far as those who take their podcasts orally, Stitcher, Spreaker, Podbean, CastBox, rate and review us on Spotify, 5 stars, Overcast, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Pods, Apple Pods, if you name it, we are most likely on it. Just search W2M Network.
And speaking of, if you're watching us live right now, yes, the channel's going to turn off for a few moments, but stay tuned for Life is Like a Game show, week 2 of of Price is Right month, featuring Bob Barker this week. Coming up next, again, over most of the W2M Net social media networks.
Like that, we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.